Crab fishing. It's one of the deadliest jobs in the world. But now, the boats and crews are back, safe in their home ports. So what do these brave men do when they're not fishing? They talk about fishing, here, at a watering hole in Seattle, the Lock Spot. Tales of tragedies and fortunes, and all things in between. That's what they talk about after the catch.
Presented by Frost Brewed Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer.
Welcome back, everybody. After the catch, I think everybody knows everybody, but for the record, Phil Harris, Larry Hendricks, Jonathan Hillstrand, Sig Hansen, Edgar Hansen. Since we're talking about people with the same last names, I think it'd be fun to start off just talking about this whole generational commitment you guys have had, not just to the industry you're in, but maybe it's the other way around. Maybe it's the industry that has this generational commitment to you all, one way or the other. It sure does seem like there are a lot of guys out on the Bering Sea with the same last name. It's very strange.
A lot of Scandinavian, man.
Yeah, a lot of Scandinavians.
Yeah. Well, the public seems to certainly have grapped on to the Hansen name. Is it fun working for him?
Oh, is it fun? I don't know. That's working for him is a 4-letter word, not a 3-letter. Pain in my arse.
Yeah. All right. Well, you know what? I'll let you formulate your answer. We've got some tape we're going to show you right now that I think kind of sums up what it is we're talking about.
Don't get Norman mad. He'll really kick your
Don't call him Sling Blade for nothing.
throwing darts. I think I had 2 or 3 darts stuck in your back. Like 2 darts. They're just stuck right in his back.
Meaner, older brother.
Norman got dartboard darts, I got lawn darts.
Yeah.
And then the parents think it'd be a good idea to get him boxing gloves. How's a good idea?
What were you thinking?
Let's get the older evil son boxing.
Yeah.
You're still trying to settle up.
Oh, I'll never forget that Christmas, I'll tell you that much.
It's got to be kind of fun to watch that, though. I mean, you know, and still know that, you know, a couple days from now you're going to be out there working again together. It's cool.
Yeah, well, it's there's a lot of common respect on the boat as far as kissy-lovey family stuff at home.
Not a lot of
that.
Now, is it what, 3rd or 4th? You must be 4th generation.
Yeah.
4th, so
4th generation, yeah. So, I mean, back to, like, in Norway, those, you know, they were fishing herring and cod, and, you know, I mean, all we did when we were growing up is hear all these stories about, you know, how it was, and, you know, so, I mean, it's just embedded into your brain, and let's face it, my old man wasn't going to raise 3 wussies, and if you're going to be a fisherman, so it's attitude, and it's just the way it is.
I'm tempted to ask what you learned from your dad.
For me, you know, he was my hero, you know, and so you just, you're picking it up, and, I mean, you're like a sponge, so that's, you know, I mean, it's just the way it is. You're trying to emulate what you see. And for other captains that I've worked for, it's the same thing. When you're a young kid, you know, you're 14, 15, 16 years old, and, you know, you want to be that guy. So it just passes through.
My father would look at me and he says, eating and sleeping are bad habits on the fishing grounds. Sorry. I had to believe it, you know.
I want to show you guys something else, too, just to make the point.
You gotta wonder who we pissed off to get stuck with 3 Harrises.
Jacob, his nickname is Freight Train.
And you just remember, I'll be taking care of your one day, and you'll be in a retirement home.
He just decides that since we're family, he's just gonna yell and scream at somebody.
Don't talk. 0.
Well, as a father, it scares the hell out of you, you know. One of the kids could get hurt doing this.
I've been pretty lucky to have 2 pretty cool brothers. We're all so different that we all kind of get along.
We usually do good about this line.
Yeah, the 58 line, I know. Bottom line is when my brother John's a captain, he's a captain. My brother Neil's been co-captaining with me for the last 8 years on Opelios. Just have a good time. It's awesome working with brothers.
Jonathan, your brother just made a great point. You know, it's the position, not just the man who's behind the wheel.
Yeah, you can't second guess that guy. He's the boss. When the boss says something, he's not asking, he's telling you.
Whether it's your brother, your cousin, your dad, your stepsister, whoever it is, you know. Huh.
Yep. You don't run the boat from the deck. You get a guy like that, just get rid of that guy.
I look at you. You've clearly you're the captain, but also maybe more than anybody else here, clearly you're the dad.
It's tough sometimes, you know, because you don't want to get them hurt, but then again, you got to let them do their job. I have to, you know, when I walk on that boat, I turn them over to the deck boss, you know, and you know, I don't want favoritism on the boat.
Yeah.
And so I really can't say a lot, you know, unless I see him doing something that's really haywire.
Right.
And, you know, and then I have my turns with him, you know. Those guys start charging, they'll, you know.
One of my favorite sayings, you could be a damn astronaut.
Yeah, you know, like Jacob comes up and he wants something. He's just, you know, that's the father-son thing, and it just drives me nuts. Joshua always has to have the last word in about everything.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, between the two of them, you're pulling your hair out at the end of the day.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, I mean, but in a sense, you're kind of in the middle because, of course, you're old man.
Yeah.
Right?
I drove him absolutely haywire.
You drove him nuts.
I was 7 years old when I started with him, Gilnet, you know, and I'm like Sig, you know, I always looked up and wanted to be like my old man, but I can remember driving him absolutely haywire. I mean, he had to be, you know, going bald because of me.
Well, you know what? It's an easy enough thing to confirm right now. Grant, come on in here and bring Josh with you. Where are you guys?
Hey,
how things?
I'm alive and kicking.
So this has got to be a hoot for you. When you watch, are you surprised at what you see?
No, not really. Not really.
Apple doesn't fall far.
No.
It's the same recipe for their family and the same recipe for theirs and ours. It's amazing to me looking at this. It's the same format when you think about it.
I mean, exactly. And you're probably...
The only thing is that there wasn't anybody that in my family that was in the fishing business, you know.
You began the Harris fishing tradition.
I think it was 1961.
Yeah.
And we left, and I'd never been on a boat before. That was the first time.
You get scared for your boy?
Well, you got to have respect. I don't know if you get scared, but if you don't respect what's going on around you, any kind of a job. I mean,
yeah. You've said to me more than once, Phil, you know, how much you've learned specifically from your dad. Josh, how much have you learned from your dad?
Oh, man. Well, you know, I started out fishing when I was 10. These two guys, Grandpa and Dad, and it's a whole life lesson. You know, you go up there, you risk your life, you're doing this crazy job, and people can't fathom it, you know, what you do. You see it on TV, and you're just like, man, that's crazy. To actually get up there and do it, you know, is another thing. I always knew my dad did a crazy job. I've seen video footage of my first year up there. I'm thinking, this is really crazy.
Yeah, one night he tried to tell me how to crab fish, and I was looking for a 2x4. I was going to whack him right
Well, it
upside
wasn't
the head.
necessarily how to crab fish. I got the guys on deck, you know, with my knowledge that I have so far, the way our boat runs.
Which is about this much.
There we go. And
you don't have an opinion. That's what he's telling
well,
you.
basically, you know, I got. It's real difficult times. I got guys on deck that are wanting me to do things a certain way, and my dad, who watches me, you know, every minute that I'm on deck, and he wants me to do things a certain way, so it creates a little bit of friction. And I mean, as you can see, we had a pretty good argument, you know.
A little bit of friction. Is that what we're going to go with? A little bit of friction?
That's the nicest way I could put it. There's other words that come to mind.
I tell you what, while we're taking this break, we're going to hold hands and sing Kumbaya. When we come back, we'll pick it up where we left off. Stay with us. A little bit of friction. That's a good one, Grant.
77 to 79, those were the years.
I mean, in the summers, you know, you could make 20, 30 grand.
I walked right in. I dumped the cash on the table and said, I'll take it.
This is a really simple show with really big themes. Money's a big theme, you know.
Yeah,
that's what makes the world go around.
It's the engine that drives this, you know. When this industry was really in its heyday, Larry. What are we talking? Mid 70s, right?
Oh, yeah, 77 to 79 is when it was really booming. I mean, those were the years.
Yeah.
I could say
They told you flat out that there's 50 guys standing on the dock, waiting for your job. So if you go out, break your arm, or you break your wrist, you either go fishing with it in a cast or get the hell off, because there's all these people, and there was.
And you were 17 when you started? How old were you, Larry?
8 years old.
8 years old on a crab boat.
Yeah. That's why I got broad shoulders. We didn't have hydraulic rams to push the pots over or stack them. I had to learn how to move those pots around by myself.
Jonathan?
I went out on the first crab trip when I was 7.
I was 12 the first time on the boat, and when I was 14, I mean, in the summers, you know, you'd make 20, 30 grand back then.
1970 what?
77 to 80. I mean, it was unbelievable. It was more money than the teachers. They hated it.
A lot more money.
I tried to buy my counselor's house. I went home and got. I worked for 3 months for nothing, and then a guy got hurt, and I made like $130,000 in the next 3 weeks. I was voted least likely to succeed, and the counselor that was really pushing that little deal in school, I got a brown paper bag and I put 50 grand in it. Her house was for sale. I went to knock on the door. I walked right in. I dumped the cash on the table and said, I'll take it.
And you're how old? What are you?
I was 18, 17 and a half, 18. And she would sell it to me.
I mean, that's the equivalent today of, I mean, you're talking about making hundreds of thousands of dollars.
It was, you know,
It was easily done.
Is it still there? I mean, are the glory days, I mean, obviously they've changed, but, you know, I mean, Edgar, you're the youngest guy here.
Yeah.
You can still carve out your piece?
Yeah, I'm still making a living.
Yeah?
It's not bad.
Well, owning the boat doesn't hurt him either, so.
No, it can't hurt.
Haven't seen that check yet.
Cash and crabs. That's what we're going to look at right now, the glory days.
We call this the red gold. That's money in the bank, boys.
I'm not out here to make friends. I'm out here to make money.
They're not funny. Look at they're gorgeous. Look like giant dollar signs.
Ching ching! Ching ching!
Money, money. That's good.
Yeah. That's what dreams are made of right there. Yeah, I can. A lot of kids reach you now.
Biggest spot of the season.
And who needs a little blue pill when you get a combo with these guys?
That's what it's all about right here, baby! This is what we do it for!
Oh my God!
We're back in the game, fellas! Yeah, baby!
I don't have a clue what time it is. All I know is that we're making money.
I know, it makes you want to go up there right now.
It makes you want to go spend some
Do
money.
you see crabs or do you see money when it's coming out of the
You
pot?
see the game.
Yeah, I think it, you know, I don't think about the money when I'm up there doing it. It's incidental. I mean, it's the game, you know, the crab.
Hunt.
The game is told pretty well in this book, Working on the Edge. Spike Walker's back with us right now. It's good to see you again, Spike. You were in the game in the day, right?
Back when men were men, yes.
Yes. Crabs were nervous.
Got out there in '78. It was right at the in 1 year, the price of king crab quadrupled, and the number of legal crabs seemed to have quadrupled. And so for a deckhand, and it became the highest paid labor job on earth.
Well, Spike, you know where I'm headed. I mean, I've been up there. I want to know, what do you spend it on? I mean,
I bought 3 things when I went home: a house, a Corvette, and
I went to church a lot, actually, these guys. But we had 1,000 deckhands, about 1,000 cannery workers, and 1 bar, the elbow room bar, and I'm telling you.
You got to understand, the elbow room was the toughest place.
Guys have died in there.
It's written in Playboy magazine.
Yeah, it was. I remember when I was a little kid, a Norwegian guy, great big sucker, and he walked over and there were shots on the table. And he grabbed one of the shots, he drank it, and he bit the glass and started chewing it, sets it back down on the table. And there's 2 things you can do. You can take a bite out of that shot glass or get your ass kicked. What's it going to be?
Can't you just run out of the building?
Times in Kodiak, when you just could get completely, and Dutch Harbor, it could get completely out of hand. And when one gold timer came in, then it was $175 a round at Beachcomber, and he rang the bell 13 times.
Just so people understand what you're talking about. You walk into a bar, there's a bell on the bar.
Hanging there, right there, yeah.
You ring the bell.
Ding, 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 ding.
And you just bought a round.
Yeah, for the whole house.
13 times. One guy, he just made $40,000 in 3 weeks, king crabbing off the south end of Chiricahua, there, south end of Kodiak Island. And
the first time I went to Dutch, I walked into the elbow room, and the bartender told me, "Oh, you should have been here 10 minutes ago." And I said, "What I missed?" And she said, "Oh, there was a hammer fight." I'm like, "A hammer fight?"
Speaking of bells, who was it that somebody ran in through a lasso in the elbow room, threw a lasso around the bell? They had it tied off to a pickup truck, ripped that sucker down the ceiling. And all the people that were in the bar, you know, they just falling over like bowling pins till it gets out the door and down the street she goes.
See, in the elbow room are 30 people getting a fight, and then some of the fight's over, they're serving shots again.
I mean,
It's just them guys.
They tried to de-virginize me in the elbow room.
I beg your pardon?
I was 14 years old with my uncle. It was Squeeze Louise, yeah.
Are we about to hear a story about how Fat Helen tried to de-virginize you? Is that really going to happen here?
Yeah, she was an old lady. She was an old lady that went to the elbow room in the morning and was there all day long till closing.
Yeah.
And she didn't have any teeth, and she was a local, and so you had to respect her. But she would sit down, and under the table, you'd feel a hand. You don't know what to do, and it scared me. I was 17 years old.
It's scaring me now.
Yeah, well, and she wanted you to buy her a
Everybody's hands on the table.
Well, she was a wonderful woman. I remember her real well.
All she wanted, you had to buy her a drink,
when
and
you
then she'd go along to the next table.
We got to take a break. I'm going to see if we can't get Helen on the phone or somebody knows her. We'll be back in just a second. Thanks, Mike.
Crawled up on his hands and knees, the wheelhouse, big tears running out his eyes. You know, we're all gonna die.
He was going nuts. He was going to start cutting things or shooting guns, and I didn't even know the guy had a gun.
Your life is not worth risking over a pot.
Well, if you're just joining us, you've missed some stories already about brawling and lots of money and, you know, the normal stuff. The whole notion of a tenderfoot or a greenhorn, you know, is a huge part of the show. What was it like for you, Edgar? Your first year?
Hell, living hell. 3 days, I think I laid in my bunk for about 3 days.
Just tired or sick?
Sick, just seasick, not knowing. On the third day, he comes down and basically literally ripped me out of my bunk by my hair.
This one?
Get your butt outside. Those guys need you. You're here for a reason. So I got out there and I'm stumbling around. I don't know where I was.
Brutal, isn't it?
It was just nasty.
I mean, it sounds to me like basic training in the Marines, essentially.
It's worse than basic.
It's as bad as, I mean, in terms of a culture shock.
Well, when I started, I worked for nothing for 3 months. But my first trip, I mean, I'm drinking beer on the stack. It was flat calm, and we're headed out to ADAC. And I thought, you know, this crab fishing stuff's a breeze. The next day, it's blowing 100. I'm literally in the bait box on my knees, puking, and I got herring all over me, and I just said, enough, this is crazy. And they're swinging pots around, and waves are going over the boat. I walked in the galley table, where I crawled right up on the table, and I'm holding on for dear life, and the captain came down to get some coffee, and he looked at me, kind of chuckled, and he says, I knew you wouldn't make it. I thought, that son of a bitch, I can make this, I can do this. And it got to the point, you know, where the crew was even helping me, because I was so sick for 3 weeks that I wish I would, you know, could die.
I mean, Sig, the way you handle greenhorns on your boat is interesting.
Well, to say the least.
I would say the way I handle them is normal to me because it's the way I was handled, and, you know, that's just the way it is, man. It worked for me. It worked for him, and I think it's a great way to go.
I mean, it's, as a matter, from what I recall, you don't even really talk to him.
Yeah, and I mean, I'd rather just not know the guy right off the bat and just, you know, keep him a little on edge, to be honest.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to know me. I just want him to do his job, you know. And that's Edgar's job to train him.
Yeah. The last guy I hired, he was scared, and he was a perfect specimen of a guy, you know, and he was, you know, 220, and he built really well, and he crawled up on his hands and knees, the wheelhouse, big tears running out of his eyes. You know, we're all gonna die, and you know, he's throwing up. But I think a lot of guys get scared. They're out of their element. Their bodies are, you know, doing weird stuff because you're going straight up and straight down, and they think they're gonna die.
I mean, I've had some guys that one guy said I could do anything, and I'll never forget. He was the biggest baby I'd ever seen. He was going nuts. He was gonna start cutting things or shooting guns, and I mean, I didn't even know the guy had a gun, but you know, I just figured I would just dump him somewhere, and so he did. Then I got a call ordered by the Coast Guard to pay for his way home. He quit.
I don't want to hear about them. I want to hear about Jonathan, your rookie year.
My rookie year, I kept watching my old man sail off in the sunset, leave me home with all the, you know, women, and I always wanted to go out with the guys, and I was 7 years old and got to go on my first trip. I got 1% as a bait boy. I made like $1,200 on a couple-day trip in the bay.
Yeah.
That was a lot of money for me. I remember I was a thousandaire or whatever. I had my first bank account and I was throwing.
I made 800 and lost it all playing poker, but I sure learned a lot about poker since then.
Well, good. Anybody got any cards? We don't really have an award for Deadliest Greenhorn, but we have a title for it, and we have a guy who I think has earned it.
This is going to be good.
I'd like to take this time to say hi to a few people just in case. I'd like to say hi to my mother and my father. Safe for the time being.
At 2 o'clock in the morning, Kevin lost his footing and fell overboard. If he hadn't been rescued, he would have died within 4 minutes of hypothermia or drowning.
I want to learn really bad, and I hate making mistakes, which I seem to do a lot of, but I also learn from them.
Once again, the sea is taking its toll from Kevin.
Oh, shoot!
Guys, just getting it.
Getting the camera saying shoot.
Shoot.
Better words.
Pretty strong language there, Kevin. Where are you? Come on out here. Watch your step, man. Don't fall down. How are you?
Hey, guys.
You fell off the boat, dude.
I don't know. I was there.
You fell off the boat. You went in the water. You know, you freaked everybody out. Changed your life?
A little bit.
Yeah.
It gave me a respect for the ocean, that's for sure.
Was there anybody at home watching you were thinking of?
I had some family, my mother, my grandmother, my uncle, those people.
Maybe.
Yeah, to scare them to death.
Oh, I called them. We delivered to Atkinson, and I called them. I was like, yeah, I fell off the boat. They're like, oh, well, you're all right. You know, you're a good swimmer. They saw the video, and they're like, oh, my God. So,
what did you do wrong?
Well, I mean, I think I saw a step there where his center of gravity was too tall, number one, and the fact that he didn't let go. You know, he was trying so hard that he didn't let go of that pot, and that's one thing that a lot of guys that are green just don't understand. You know, your life is not worth risking over a pot.
But in the same token, we're telling them you always hold on to the pot. Always hang on to that pot.
You were the victim of a mixed message.
Yeah. What do you do with that?
What do you do with that? Hold on, don't hang
Just
on.
go overboard, I guess, right?
There's a fine line. You got to know when.
Yeah.
Well, I know now, that's for sure.
But that's the dedication of a good greenhorn, too. He held on. It's just that he held on at the wrong time.
Yeah. It's good to see you again. Here, I think I'll actually use one of these. Cheers, man. Thanks for making it back. And thank you for making it back, too. Right after this, more After the Catch when we return.
But guys go bananas sometimes. I mean, they sleeping with knives and, you know, just threatening to hurt people.
Pulled out a gun and put it to his head and said, no, I want to go now.
If there was a gun right now.
Bear and sea can do weird things to people. Somebody that don't want to be there, they can do anything.
I know we just wanted to I'm just not fit for this kind of job. That's all there is to it.
Alaskan state troopers are dockside to bring the Aleutian Ballad's greenhorn to the airport.
I'm getting ready to say
Oh, you don't want to do that. Come on, man.
For whatever reason, if a guy wants off, you got to take him in. That's just the way it is.
just like that.
Greenhorn quit and said he was going to jump overboard. Come up to Captain, I'm going to jump overboard. Can you tell the Coast Guard where I'm at? And I got him to do his mom said.
And everybody is a cutoff for this. Definitely, I'll never ever see the Bering Sea again. I like that.
That was expensive.
It had to be expensive, you know, and bizarre.
Well, that guy there, I think initially I would have handed him a loaf of bread and told him to go swimming. You know, I don't know if I would have let him go that far. He's obviously not all, you know, the sharpest tool in the shed if he's going to get off a perfectly good platform to go swimming for the beach that's 150 miles away. I mean...
Or is he just trying to get you to turn the boat around and take him back? You know, like you said in the clip, you got to take him back if they want to go back.
Well, you don't know who you're getting. You know, I mean, the American #1, Mike Peterson, one day had a guy come up in the wheelhouse and said, "I want to go back to Dutch Harbor." Mike says, "Well, we've already been to Dutch. We're on our way to the gear." And he pulled out a gun and put it to his head and said, "No, I want to go now." Yeah. Okay.
You win.
Yeah.
Which boat was it where the guy was missing for a couple days and they found him in the smokestack?
Yeah, that was on the American They thought he jumped overboard. He was hiding in the smokestack.
This is the smokestack.
One of the boats are both, yeah. Guys go bananas sometimes. I mean, they sleeping with knives and, you know, just threatening to hurt people or whatever. And, you know, I know guys that have, you know, tied them up and locked them up.
Keep them up. Spike was telling me greenhorn. The term itself refers to having one foot in the grave. You ever feel, Josh, like you had 1 foot in the grave out there?
You know, I don't feel anything when I'm up there. You know, I got a family of fishermen, and you know, I got to live up to a lot of expectations.
Well, the first time he went fishing, did a king crab season about 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And he walked up. It was just turning light. It was blowing about 80, and he walked up the stairs, and I said, telling everybody to get their stuff on. Let's go. And he looked out the window and he said, "You're making us go outside in this."
Well, you're pretty diplomatic about it, you know, and all of a sudden you're looking at boats that are 150 feet and you're watching them go straight up and they hang for a second and they got the halogen lights on top that you can see from like 10 miles away, and then everything just turns black around you and you're thinking, man, what am I doing? You know, am I really out here right now?
Yeah.
And then, you know, the old man, he's just like, hey, you know, I'm going to talk to you guys. You know, we're out here to do this. This is our job. Does anybody, you know, not feel safe doing this? And of course, I'm not going to say anything because I'm scared just beyond my means at this point.
You can't
and
talk.
I'm looking around at everybody.
That's a trick question right there.
I'm looking around at everybody.
Open your mouth and open your ears.
And I see Murray, and Murray's like, "Oh yeah, we're ready to go out there." And I'm just thinking in my head, God, if there was a gun right now, you know, I mean, it's just, it's intense. And you get out there, and you got everybody in your face, and you're just like, you don't want to make anybody unhappy. But when you have a lack of knowledge, everybody's unhappy.
You're a deck boss, Edgar. You got to train guys like this all the time. What's your approach?
Oh boy, feel them out. Just like you said, there's a lot of psychology. Every guy's got to be handled a little different. You know, Matt's got to be babied. Yeah. Nick has to be really sensitive with them. But you gotta learn. You gotta learn your guys.
But
and they know how to get what you want out of them.
He'll go to them and say, "Hey, Stig's really pissed," and you know,
right.
So he'll play that card.
Good cop, bad cop.
Yeah.
Actually, it's bad cop, really bad cop.
Well, I try to keep it from getting upstairs because he's got enough to worry about.
There's no sense.
But there's come to a point where he's like, "Why are those guys still doing that?" I go, "I've been telling them. I've been showing them.
You know
Like,
what?
it's time for him to
And that's
step
where we
in.
got a mutual respect, because like he's keeping me from having to babysit whatever is going on there. Maybe that's the wrong word. And at the same time, I'm keeping information from them to not freak them out. So it goes hand in hand.
So you're the captain and the sergeant.
Well, you're their mother, their father, their girlfriend, their sister.
Whoa,
That's a full-service boat you're running there.
That's a bit wine stuff on that one. I'll tell you that much.
No, I totally get it. I mean, you've got to be. You guys get a lot of credit for being physically tough, but what I'm hearing is, you know, you've got to be mentally tough as well.
The main thing is
mental.
I think fishing is mental first, and then you got to have it in your heart.
Yeah.
Physical. I mean, you don't have to be the biggest guy to fish.
there is no
Usually
in
the-
a fisherman's vocabulary.
Usually the best
Right off
guys
gate.
aren't the big tough guys, you know?
Yeah, they're the least
Wiry guys.
What I found is like Sig had hit the nail on the head. It's information that keeps these guys going and keeps them all together. So many times I would let the low man on the totem pole know something and have him tell the deck boss or tell the rest of the crew, and it made them a sense of pride, you know. But then they were also part of the team. So.
If you have 25 pots at the end of the night, they're sitting out there and everybody's dog-ass tired, but I'll go down and say, okay, look, guys, we got 25 pots sitting out here. You know, they're not catching anything. We can move them real quick and then go to bed and they're fishing and everything's great, or we can do it when you get up, but they're not catching anything. Those guys are going to say, let's go haul those 25 pots. But what it does, it makes them feel like part of, like they're fishermen instead of moving in storage, you know?
In the end, it's judgment. You got to make your best call.
Or robots.
Yeah, or robots. Me and the robots will be back right after this. Stay there, please. You're the deadliest catch guys. Lots of fans.
People just stop you at the most obscene times.
But it just blows me away.
Who's getting girls' underwear in the mail? Anybody? All right, guys, prepare yourselves. I'm going to use the F word. I want to talk about fame. Because it's got to be a very strange thing. And now, you're the deadliest catch guys. You know, over 100 countries, you know, millions of people, lots of fans. How's it going, Sig?
Making me nervous.
It's amazing, man. The people just, they don't even bother to ask you your name. They go, hey, Sig, how's it going? It just blows me away. It's cool.
Jonathan?
It's like I knew these guys before I even knew them. I watched them. I know all about them. Know how to meet them now.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. Larry, is it weird for you?
Yeah, it was. In variety, it was just amazing where people just stop you at the most obscene times, like in the middle of an intersection when you're driving.
Sure.
No, it was quite interesting, you know. It's times the best thing you can do is say thank you and appreciate. You have a lot of appreciation for the people in the fan base. It's hard to say anything other than thank you.
Yeah. How about that, Phil? You're
I got to tell you, you know, it finally hit me one day when a golf cart fell on a guy where I live in this part, and an EMT truck pulled in, and his siren's going and red lights, and all of a sudden he hits the brakes and wanted my autograph. And,
the EMT guy.
Yeah, and I'm just shocked. You know, I said, man, you got an emergency. He goes, yeah, I need your autograph. I said, I'll go down to the fire department and sign anything you want to sign. Just go take care of it. You know? It blew me away.
Who's getting girls' underwear in the mail? Anybody? Anyone?
I got a couple.
Did you?
Yeah, they were like this.
Oh, well, you know, you get what you get.
The more notoriety we get, that's fine. But we're also doing it now because it's helping our industry and our fleet.
That's fine. He's got 8x10 glossies in his truck. Oh, it's fine. I'll take it.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, our fleet is getting the notoriety too.
We were very blessed to be involved in the show, but now it's our turn to help our industry, help the communities, and see what we can do with it. And so we're starting up a tourism business, and we're going to start promoting crab products back into the American public.
Hey, look, that sounds great, but Jonathan, you know, you and I have been into a bar or two, and I dare say there may be some other upsides to this little adventure. Am I right?
Girls?
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Young guy, got some time on your hands, you know, it's not killing you, is it?
No, it's not killing me at all. Thanks. Thank you. Thanks, fans.
You look got to start worrying about heart attack.
I got a question. I'm going to save it, though, because this is probably the best way we can explain what's going on.
Oh, here we go again. Putting camera guys' lives at my fingertips. That's the way I like it.
And at least we got some
See how we're no stranger to having camera guys, you know. Always got one eye on them.
Believe it or not, there is a camera in here.
We respect the art of filmmaking. After 4 long years, we finally get the picture. Get it? Picture, camera.
Dude. You all right?
That hurts to watch. Can't talk about fame without talking about the cameras that bring it, and we can't talk about that without saying hi to my good friend Tom Beers, who's been the champion of the show from day one. How are you, brother?
I'm doing great. It's been fun watching all you guys back there.
Are you gratified? Did you see it going this far? And why did you start with this show?
Yeah, no, it's amazing to me. I mean, watching the numbers and watching the popularity of the show. I started this in 1999, so about 8-9 years ago. I went to see the first time for a very small piece of a 2-hour show I was doing for Discovery called it was called Extreme
Alaska. Sure.
Alaska. I got to admit, I felt like I was a little bit like Gilligan. I was going to go out for a little 3-hour cruise. I know it's dangerous, but I'm only going to be out there for a couple of days. We'll get some footage. We'll get back in the shore safe and sound. Little I know, we were about to run into the worst storm in about 18 years. For 200 miles of sea, within 24 hours, all of a sudden I'm looking at 70-knot winds and 40-foot seas, and I'm like, wow, this is outrageous. It was incredible. And all I could think of was this. It was just keep rolling. And I kept rolling, and I'm making little notes and script notes, and I'm putting it in a Pelican box, because I'm sure we're going down. I am absolutely sure of that. So I'm saving it. So I'm thinking one day it's like a message in a bottle. When the boat sinks, the last thing I'm doing is heaving this thing overboard and hoping hopefully an editor is going to find it when it washes to shore and cuts together the film, because it was the most outrageous thing. And so 11 days later, we came back to shore, and I hadn't shaved, and I remember I felt it was the most incredible feeling. I felt like I had just spit in the eye of the devil. Yeah. I did. And I got off that boat, and for at least a day, I didn't say a word. I just grunted. I walked around going, kind of like these guys.
Why do you think the series is so popular?
To me, it's these guys. I mean, the whole point of it is that these are men, out there, facing really, really tough odds. They're at the ends of the earth, and they're basically putting their lives on the line every day. It's the last great frontier. It's the last great opportunity to go out there and either strike it rich or go down or strike out. As a filmmaker also, I've got to say that there's something extraordinary about the show. It looks different than anything else. You're looking at orange slickers and a black sea under sodium lights. It all looks so unique and so different. It's really like we're on the moon. Yeah.
Thanks for giving us a peek, and guys, thank you for actually being back there and doing something very cool. More after the catch, after this. Stay with us.
I got a good one. The old timers pulled back in the day.
That guy has nightmares, waking up screaming my name.
Is there like a book of famous pranks or something?
I don't think now I would pass a Northwestern pot without having to do something to it.
I got a Cornelia Marie pot on our bow. You want to monkey with it?
Somebody welded the pot shut. I've never seen somebody pulled their pot and welded it.
It wasn't you, was it?
No, I would never do that. I wouldn't haul anybody's gear.
You did, didn't you? We're hauling Sig's pot down here, boys, and we're gonna put a pipe on it. This is a cold thing to do.
I haven't seen the pipe before. I'll give that about a 9. That's pretty good.
Retaliation, Cornelia Marie style. I sent that pot over, and I thought about it after it went over in the garbage in there. I thought, man, I'm going to get killed for this.
There's going to be retaliation for sure. Viewers can't get enough of this stuff. I mean, they love to watch you guys having fun.
It's fun for the crews, and it's humorous between us, and I don't think now I would pass a Northwestern pot without having to do something to it.
Is there like a book of famous pranks or something? You guys get your ideas from some playbook? Or
I think the book is in the bar, man. You get, you hear things that have been done over the years and whatnot. It gets passed down, and it's always been there as long as I can remember.
My dad, once we were fishing, he was running the boat, and I was running a boat, and I was on about a 15 average at Baradai. The next pot that comes up, this pot's chucker block full, and I'm talking there's probably 500-600 crab in it, and I'm just about as excited as a human could get. I thought I hit the mother lode. I get on the radio, I call him up. I said, man, I hit him. He goes, really? How many crab are in there? I said, there must be 500-600. Really? So the guys start measuring them. Every one of them was about that much too little. He had pulled the pot, saved all his little crab.
All his throwaways.
Filled this pot up.
Oh, that's fun.
I got about 10 crab out of that pot. We measured every one of them, too. And
I got a good one.
Laughing his ass off.
I got a good one. The old timers pulled back in the day. They had, I think it was in Kodiak, my old man was telling me, they pulled this pot and they baited it with like a T-bone steak. So then the guy pulls it up, and they had put crab in there. It was chucker block full. Well, then the guy said, hey, somebody pranked me, and they put a steak in there, and he thought it worked. worked. So he went back to town. He bought every piece of meat in town. Thousands.
That's some expensive bait.
Yeah, he goes back out, baits up the gear, and it comes up empty.
Edgar, you've got this reputation as this madcap prankster. Yeah, what's with the fire?
What
are you doing?
It's just fun, man. I'd like to see Nick's eyes light up.
I mean, poor Nick. I mean, you're not going to rest till you actually light the guy on fire.
That guy literally goes home and has nightmares, waking up, screaming my name. His wife is so mad at me right now. What are you doing to my husband?
Flour. Who did I see?
Oh, that was
Jonathan.
Yeah, it started. That's an old time trick, but they didn't use flour. They'd make a bucket, and everyone would use that bucket to.
Yeah.
But if they pull your pot, they're going to get hit with your
poo.
Yeah.
Well, it's a poo pot.
So that's
poo pot.
The flour derived from that prank.
He was going to eat
flour's a little nicer.
I'd like to see the poo come back. Actually, I think that'd be a big thing maybe for season 4.
You never know.
You never know.
Can't be tired.
No. Get out of here. Straddle freshwater. Where's that guy? So funny. I'll get you. Hey, we're gonna be holding the flower pot.
That doesn't get old.
Dude, that is cold, man. Awesome. All right, listen, we're out of time. I just want to say thank you all for sharing your stories. It's been great.
Thank you.
We'll do this again real soon, and I want to just let you know that even though we have a whole lot of fun here, these guys take their work very, very seriously. It's been my privilege to tell their stories for the last couple of years, to sit here and chat with them and catch up week after week. In the end, it's all about the comedy. Thanks, guys. Somebody going to measure me? Because I'm deeper. There's a road where I'm pretty sure I need to be tossed back. This is going to be awkward.